blah, 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 blah. Hi Dawn, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Can you hear me properly? Maybe need to change my seating a bit here. Hi Jenny, I hope you're doing well. Dawn says, hey, I can't sleep. Yes, I can hear you. How are you? Yeah, I'm doing fine, Dawn. I'm busy trying to get my house all packed up and things like that because I'm actually moving in the 13th, so I won't be on YouTube at all up until the 22nd because I'll have no internet connection. But I've got a lot of, if I can spit that out, I've got a lot of videos that I've actually got filmed that I'm going to be uploading, so that'll be what I'll be doing over then. So I was going to come on and talk about, I'm actually in the Challenge 22 group mentorship. It's helping vegans obviously transition to the vegan lifestyle. So they've had a lot of problems. There's a few people actually saying that they're struggling obviously with trying to stay vegan in a non-vegan family. And I think that's a really, really great one because that's something a lot of people actually struggle upon. So I've written a lot of things down here that I would like to actually talk about. Like I say, first off, number one, like I say, it's education. Like I say, it's really, really important that you get to know the reasons, obviously, behind the whole idea of obviously eating plant-based foods and obviously switching to a vegan lifestyle. Like I say, your personal emphasis can obviously range from obviously not wanting to harm animals to protecting the environment, getting healthier, and even losing weight or becoming fitter and such like, or even gaining weight in some circumstances like myself. Like I say, there's endless reasons for actually taking on this path and journey. Like I say, when you all get behind this and obviously grow your knowledge base, you can easily refute the arguments around the actual science and actual proof. You'll obviously get more confident. You'll obviously be able to motivate yourself. You'll obviously be able to prepare food and obviously any kind of half-baked statements coming your way as well. What's Jenny saying? Jenny had to go off and come back and phone up, was peeling up. Good luck with moving. Thanks very much, Jenny. I really, really appreciate that. So like I say, for beginners, like I say, I would really suggest that you obviously watch documentaries such as obviously Forks Over Knives, Vegucated, obviously Cowspiracy, and read books such as The China Study, How Not to Diet and Starch Solution, which I've actually got here. This is the Starch Solution. I thoroughly recommend anybody that's new to the vegan lifestyle reads that one. That's a great one. How Not to Die by Dr. McGregor is another great book. This is a real must. It tells you about all the illnesses that can obviously be cured in a vegan diet. Actually, as well, I've got these new books as well that I'm reading myself. They All Had Eyes. It's basically Confessions of a Vivisectionist. That's an absolutely great book. A new one that I got yesterday was Eating in the Light, Making the Switch to Veganism on Your Spiritual Path. That's an absolutely great book. It shows you about how you ensure you get adequate protein and calcium, increase obviously your spiritual vibrations and gifts, reduce or eliminate your cravings for obviously meat and dairy products, adopt a cruelty-free lifestyle, cook vegan meals for yourself and your family, deal with skeptical meat eaters, friends and family members, and obviously eat vegan meals at restaurants while travelling. And this is a similar one actually. The food yoga book, Nourishing Body, Mind and Soul. It's the very same type of book. Dawn says, that's awesome, you're doing a mentoring challenge for veganism. That is remarkable. You tell me where to go. Thanks very much, Dawn. There's a group of dietitians and professional cooks and everything in it. So it's a really, really great group. Like I say, it's all free of charge on Facebook. It's all done through that. It's over 22 days. It's actually running from the 3rd to the 25th. But it runs every single month. Nice to see you, Kashin. Okay, I hope you're well as well. If everybody can invite their fans, that would mean a lot as well. So like I say, number 2 is obviously compassion. Like I say, whether it's obviously obvious or not, there's always a reason or as to why people obviously think and react the way they do. Like I say, basically, if you can imagine it, let's say you open their eyes to the reality, and obviously the truth can obviously become very, very painful and can come with many, many consequences. Thanks for inviting your fans, Jenny. Like I say, not everyone is there yet, and that is okay. Like I say, you should obviously allow them to obviously practice at their own time and obviously their own pace as well. Obviously as well, the third off is preparation. Like I say, if you're invited over to say like a dinner party or anything like that, that's always going to be challenges as a new vegan, like I say, especially if you're a newbie, like as I say, and not everyone obviously gets the idea that your lifestyle change yet and is obviously accustomed to it. Like I say, you've obviously got to face it. Hi Lady Lou, nice to see you, sending you all my love as well. You've obviously got to simply forget about obviously the current dietary preferences of obviously your friends and obviously your family members as well. Especially obviously since there's a lot of changing from one fad to the next diet at a time. I say, especially these days, like I say, you get people on things like obviously no sugar diet, low carb diet, Weight Watchers, all these juicing diets. Like I say, you can't blame them. You really can't, because at the end of the day, you've got to try and accommodate them as well. Like I say, but what actually you can do is obviously taking your own vegan dish with you as well, and basically this kind of occasion obviously calls for this type of move, but I say it doesn't always, but I say it can most of the time. But I say people are obviously a lot more confident obviously bringing your own food that you're obviously going to enjoy, so you don't accidentally mess something up, or then you don't go and end up eating something that you may not want. It's obviously non-vegan. But I say a good idea is obviously to prepare a big batch of your favourite meal, whether that be vegan chili, lentil and chickpea curry, anything like that. Obviously take it along with you, and obviously get the non-vegans in the group to obviously test it out. It gets a kind of good icebreaker as well. It gets them to actually know that they can enjoy amazing food that's all cruelty free as well. Nice to see you here, Ness. Like I say, flexibility is really another one. Like I say, being obviously very, very strict about what you can and don't eat, I say, that leads to an awful lot of awkwardness and obviously discussions, I say, with people around you, but obviously can make you really, really obsessed. You don't want that. Like I say, I always say you don't want to dive in head first. Like I say, he was into obviously the topic of health. You better get into obviously the animal welfare and kind of changing yourself for obviously the better and showing them that. Speaking to them about obviously the animal welfare, obviously the health, all the health benefits and the vegan lifestyle as well. Thanks very much for the likes, Don. Let's say, but what you obviously really need to realise that change obviously does take time. Hi Ness. Let's say you obviously have a lot of habits that you obviously have to unlearn, because we all need to remember that we weren't a vegan, we probably weren't born a vegan, we weren't raised a vegan. Like I say, you've got to step in the shoes of a new vegan and non-vegans as well, and basically connect with them. Like I say, be on their level, because at one time we all ate meat, so you've got to understand that as well. So like I say, when you're obviously invited out for like things like dinner and you've actually tried to obviously create a great meal. Nice to see you here, Russell Bryant. But obviously you forget to obviously sprinkle a certain type of ingredient in the top of it. You could obviously consider honouring the gesture, obviously giving them a quick tip for obviously next time, and just obviously maybe eat some of the food, what I say, but you know, if you're really, really strict in that, but I say these are kind of things you've got to be understanding of. It can happen. Jenny says, I've given my friends are more receptive when I talk about the health benefits. Yeah, exactly, they're more receptive when they talk about the health benefits, and that's sometimes what you've got to do. You've got to basically give them that connection, and that's really, really important. Like I say, some people don't get the connection about the health benefits and the cruelty to the animals, and like I always say, sometimes they've got to see these like slaughterhouse videos and the kind of things that obviously the eating meat obviously does, like obviously inhibits things like cancer cell growth, obviously heart disease and strokes and such likes, and unfortunately it does. So I say, obviously when you're going out to restaurants that obviously aren't completely vegan, you can never actually be sure obviously whether all the people involved in obviously the process of preparing your food succeeding and not obviously wanting any unwanted ingredient. I say there's obviously a very, very fine line when it comes to obviously obsession, and I would basically love for you all to not get caught up in the details of all that kind of all the time. That's really important, because that buys into eating disordered behaviours, as I know only too well. Let's say all the healthy food in the world won't make you feel better if your mind is constantly stressed and obviously preoccupied as well. Number 5, really importantly, is connection. Let's say if you're not obviously lucky enough to obviously have vegans or at least vegetarians in your family or your friendly circle, you can obviously also go online and reach out to obviously like-minded people, obviously like myself, obviously all the people in the chat here, speaking online. Let's say there's plenty of vegan universe, YouTubers, like anything. I say I know that only too well. I say back when I before I became vegan, I didn't know a soul who was actually thinking the same way that I did. So I say, but luckily there were actually quite a lot of people that was actually on forums and obviously on YouTube, obviously channels, obviously such as like Emily Vegan Flower. There was Dates with Love, obviously the obvious ones like Hench Herbivore, Vegan Geezer, Vegan Activist, obviously Durian Rider and Freely the Banana Girl. So I say they can make you feel more or less far alone. Obviously making you that there's somebody there for you to help you. So I say there's actually endless possibilities and platforms that you can obviously find food and obviously buddies and obviously meet up in person as well. Let's say organise an event. You've even got things in Scotland like the Tart and Carrot and such likes. They've got vegan meetups in Scotland and they'll be the same in any areas you guys are in as well. You'll find that you can go into these vegan meetups and there's obviously a vegan meetup in your area as well. I thoroughly recommend you do that. I say that's a great way of obviously learning and meeting people that's in the same wavelength as yourself. Obviously, a great other way is obviously to start following obviously people on like Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, Instagram as well. So I really feel that's really some great tips that obviously I would actually implement quite a lot. Don says, yeah, they have a vegan meetup here near me. I never even knew. Yeah, exactly, Don. Like I say, they're absolutely everywhere. Obviously, as well, obviously another one that they actually said in the group to me that they were kind of struggling, but that I touched upon there about going out to restaurants and things like that, worried about the kind of vegan options that may be at restaurants. First off, the most important one I want to say about that, it's really important that you obviously call ahead to the restaurant, make sure that they've got vegan options for you. Like, just call them up and say, look, I've got my dietary preferences is I eat no meat, dairy, eggs, anything at all, fish, anything like that. Make sure that obviously their sauces obviously don't contain any animal ingredients at all. Obviously, if you're having things like noodles and such likes, make sure they're not egg noodles. Make sure you obviously get like rice noodles and such likes. That's really important. And obviously, if you don't call in advance, obviously when you get there, ask the guest at the door. Obviously, say to them that you're vegan. Obviously, make it very clear to them that obviously that you're vegan and obviously you need vegan options. Like I say, that's really important because the last thing you obviously want to sit down and all the drinks and that are starting to get given out, and you find out they've got no vegan options. Don says, yeah, or see if they have a menu online and have vegan choices. That's exactly what I was going to get to in a little minute, Don, actually, about that. The really important one as well is obviously look out for the codes on the vegan menus. Like I say, you've obviously menus have got little icons on them that obviously indicate that if items are obviously vegan or vegetarian, just like they do if they've got spicy ingredients as well. Like I say, sometimes you'll see a little V shape that kind of sometimes a leaf basically, or other kind of icons like that. That shows that that's vegan as well. Obviously, the really important one is, like I say, most actual vegetarian like restaurants and for such likes and vegan places, you can find a vegan option, like I say, which can actually be made vegan. Like I say, just ask if they can obviously take out the dairy or the eggs can be removed for a dish so they can actually be made vegan friendly. Like I say, sometimes you obviously, when you remove an ingredient in the dish, I say they need to obviously add something to obviously boost it up as well. So obviously you want to peruse around the kind of menu and see if any ingredient would actually be really good for you. A good example of this is if you're saying that you're ordering like a veggie burrito, you would ask to obviously replace the cheese with things like sour, obviously cheese and the sour cream to be removed. and basically replace it with things like guacamole or such likes like that, which is another great option. I say basically that's something that I would really suggest that you do, and that's really important. Obviously, like Dawn said there, look on the menu online and see about vegan options. Like I say there's great apps as well. Like I say there's a lot of great apps and websites that you'll obviously find that have actually got vegan restaurants nearby you. Obviously, they can show you where you can travel and such likes. My favourites are obviously Happy Cow, which is one of the really important ones. I'll try and show you it here, if you can see that. That's Happy Cow there. Happy Cow, you go into that, you just press vegan, and it will pop up like a lot of different restaurants nearby you. So that shows you everything there, and it even shows you like stores and things that are also vegan as well. You can go in there and it'll show you vegan stores where you can go and buy vegan food. That's another really great thing that I would really recommend to all new vegans as well. There's another thing as well, just like Don says, was talking about there, about the vegan choices. There's an app that you can get on iPhone and also Android as well. It's called Is It. That I would recommend you download that. You go into that and you scan your barcodes, and it will tell you automatically if there's any animal products in that product, and if it's 100% vegan. This is the app there, if you can see it. It's called Is It Vegan? So basically, you've got a little bit down the bottom. You can type in, like, scan your barcode. You can press search, obviously, to look up for any ingredient as well, which is an amazing thing that obviously to look up for. Thanks very much, Don. I'm trying to get as much in here to obviously help as many people forward, like I say, because this is a lot of thing that obviously new vegans really struggle upon, because if they downloaded these apps, right away they would obviously get the ingredients of the food and such likes if they were in the supermarket before they go and buy them, and obviously get them home and realise that they're maybe not vegan, because you've got things like E-numbers, you've got beeswax, you've got cochineal, you've got isinglass. There's a ton of ingredients that are obviously non-vegan that you've really got to watch out for. But obviously a lot of products that you actually see in the stores that actually, for all intents and purposes, look as if they're not vegan. Like you've got some like pot noodles and obviously flavours of, say, like beef and onion and chicken and such likes. They're actually vegan. So it's a great app to obviously check up on that. So talking about as well, going vegan on a budget, like I say, this is one thing that a lot of people worry about as well. They come to the vegan lifestyle and they say to themselves, I'm worried about going vegan because I think it's going to be very expensive. I want to touch upon this. This is far from the truth. Duchess says, I'm working out with Jen and just popped in to share the love. What is the app, Tommy? It's called It's called Is It Vegan, Duchess. You download that on iPhone and Android, and you just scan your barcode. It automatically tells you if the products are vegan or not vegan. And you've obviously got Happy Cow. That's a one as well that I recommend. Hopefully, some people can bring some people over for Jen's. She was supposed to be guesting me. She's went on, but fair enough. So like I say, obviously as well, going vegan in a budget. Like I say, being vegan, you can obviously, it can be expensive or as cheap as you make it. It depends where you shop. Like I say, if you're going to shop at expensive stores, it's going to be expensive. But you've got a lot of discount stores. You've got Lidl, Aldi, even Tesco and Asda in the UK. You can get a lot of cheap options as well there. Hi, nice to see you, Cancer Clicker. I'll just fan you up as well. I hope you can fan me. It'd be great if you can fan me. Jen is awesome. We're sweating. Yeah, I bet you. So like I say, going vegan in a budget, like I say, one of the kind of main myths about the vegan lifestyle is it's obviously too expensive for obviously the average or obviously low income families. Like I say, because obviously there's many people obviously relate vegan or plant based diet to packed vegan spreads and such likes. Obviously meat alternatives and obviously vegan dairy substitutes as well, and the cost of some fruits and vegetables. Nice to see you, Chauncey, as well. Telekinesis, why? Telekinesis, I'm not sure. So I say the important thing to obviously note about veganism, it is not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's about doing it for the ethical reasons for the animals. Like I say, people use veganism as a diet, it is not a diet. Like I say, obviously you do get the dietary benefits and things, but you should always make sure that you are in the vegan lifestyle for the ethical reasons. Like I say, don't focus upon body image and weight and such like. That's not what it's all about. Like I say, it's about health at any weight, and it can be. So like I say, with that said, there is actually plenty, obviously, ways obviously to eat vegan on a budget, including excluding obviously pre-packaged food items, but you can eat a lot of pre-packaged food items as well. I say there's many cheap options as well. Whether obviously you want to go like 100% whole foods, or you enjoy eating a bit of Daiya cheese or Violife cheese or whatever you are, like I say, there's a lot of tips that I can actually say here may help. Like I say, you obviously wonder why some nuts, fruits, vegetables seem obviously so expensive. Like I say, obviously the National Dietary Guidelines obviously advises consumers to obviously cut meat and dairy consumption, and obviously increase their intake of like things like fruits and vegetables. But more than obviously 60% of the agriculture subsidies have directly or obviously indirectly supported meat and dairy production as well, while less than obviously 1% obviously benefit from fruit and vegetable producers. And that's really amazing. Like I say, that's why one thing I want to put out there. Like I say, one important thing is obviously buy in bulk. Like I say, it's really amazing how much you can actually save if you buy in bulk, either by receiving like case quality discounts and such likes, and obviously large orders or packaged items, or by purchasing what you need obviously from like bulk bins and obviously your grocery stores and such likes as well. Like I say, you'll find the kind of bulk bin section is obviously one of the most sections that obviously to head to in any health store. There's obviously kind of well stocked grocery stores as well. You can find anything from things like obviously pasta to chickpeas, often at a fraction of obviously the package cost as well. And it's obviously a wonderful way to obviously buy small quantities of obviously items for the bulk bins as well, such as a couple of things like obviously buckwheat flour, and which is great for pancakes as well. Obviously the dishes that you could obviously make as well. Oh wait for some, nice to see you here, I hope you can fan me up. So I say the dishes that you could obviously make in bulk as well. I say things like obviously for the kind of bulk section like hummus, pasta, dal or lentil soups, another one. Things like pancakes, polenta, black bean burritos as well. Obviously an extra tip as well is obviously if you don't want to soak things like beans and chickpeas and obviously then cook them, obviously try pre-cooked canned beans as well. Obviously for obviously convenience as well, which is really important. Like I say, buying in bulk isn't just for the food. Like I say, you can obviously find like bulk like body care items at your local health store as well. Like I say, save obviously your favourite shampoo bottle and simply obviously refill it up from the bulk section when you're ready as well, is another great way of obviously saving money as well. Like I say, really importantly is obviously shop in season. Like I say, eat plenty of fruit and vegetables is essential obviously to any whole foods plant diet. Like I say, buying cheap fruit and vegetables is obviously can be a challenge as well. Like I say, there are a number of ways obviously to cut down on the cost, obviously by shopping smart. And I would say that's really important if you're struggling with fruit and vegetables. Another great way is obviously buying frozen, because obviously you can get them really cheap, and obviously they're going to keep longer, because if you buy fruit and vegetables that are obviously fresh, they're obviously going to go off quicker. So that's a good way of saving money as well. Like I say, obviously shop for fruits and vegetables that are obviously in season in your area. Like I say, they'll obviously be very cheaper and obviously tastier than obviously the vegetables that are out of season. Shop at your local farmers markets is another really important one. Like I say, every farmers market is obviously different, but obviously buying directly from the grower is obviously cheaper, and you might obviously be able to get things like seconds, fruits and vegetables that has slight blemishes on it as well, but are really fresh and great to eat as well. It saves you a good bit of money. So I say, obviously the frozen vegetables are obviously a much greater option as well. Obviously stick to things like obviously staples like your red lentils and your whole grains are obviously cheap and obviously can be added to any meal for obviously extra protein as well. Obviously look for staple items items that you can obviously put like healthy, nutritious meals around as well. Some of the staples that I would really say is obviously lentils, beans, potatoes, brown rice, rolled oats, whole wheat couscous, like whole grain bread, yellow and green split peas is another one. Obviously chickpeas. Jenny says, I like my local fruit and vegetable stores because they are so much cheaper than the supermarket. Exactly, 100%, Jenny. Dawn to Dust says, this is really important. Thank you for sharing, Tommy. I like to get back to sleep and work in the morning. Send you all my love, Dawn, and speak to you soon. Obviously, as well, keep your cupboard stocked with the staple foods, which can obviously be bought in like the bulk bin section. And then obviously add veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds and extras to obviously supplement these as well. Obviously, important one is planning out your meals, like I say, especially when you first obviously transition to the vegan lifestyle and any plant-based diet. Obviously, coming up with new meal ideas can obviously seem like a task. Dawn says, I hope you have a great live stream. Stay golden. Love to you, Dawn. Like I say, in the long run, I found it's very, very easy to obviously whip up like delicious vegan fare, but obviously your tastes obviously change. Planning out your meals, like I say, can go another long way, and obviously to cut down like meal stress and keep your grocery budget in check. Like I say, obviously once you obviously get used to cooking vegan food, like I say, you may obviously not need to actually plan out your meals and such likes, as obviously you've got a lot of staples round about your house that you've got that are recommended here. But I say there's plenty of vegan books and blogs and such likes you can check out to get kind of good ideas as well. Obviously as well, I say explore new places to obviously buy vegan groceries is a really, really important one. Like I say, like your small speciality stores and markets that obviously you live in your neighbourhood. Obviously keep your eyes out for like African and Asian and Indian and Latin American, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean and any other kind of specialist markets. You've got a lot of staples that are actually vegan at those things. Obviously as well, small groceries, it says you've got a lot of good things that obviously are small grocery stores, like your bulk items like beans, grains, legumes and spices as well. Let's say they also stock like kind of speciality spices and produce that can be actually added into your dishes as well. Let's say another important one I would say is shop with money rather than card, because that's a great option, because if you shop with your card you can obviously sometimes get over budget. Like I say, shopping with cash is a good way to obviously stick to your budget and obviously keep to your financial restraints as well. Jenny says, I'm a member of a food co-op type programme in my area. I find that it helps a lot towards the food budget. Yeah, I've heard of the food co-op type programmes. We used to have them here in Scotland. When my mum was alive, she actually was one of them. They actually done away with them here, but it would be great if they get something like that back, because that's something that we really, really need so much, because you're getting to the point you're seeing a lot of these food banks popping up all over the place because people are so financially restrained because obviously the recession that happened recently and things, and obviously a lot of people that I see a lot of people obviously taking on mortgages and such likes, and then they're losing their jobs because obviously their occupation is not guaranteed, and then they start getting into financial restraints, and it's a nightmare, like I say. So that would be an obviously great idea, Jenny. I really think that would be brilliant. Obviously another one is obviously cooking from scratch. If you're obviously not used to cooking from scratch, that can obviously feel really daunting, but it really isn't. Like I say, simple steps obviously like pre-soaking your beans, your grains, to obviously speed up things like cooking time. Thanks for becoming a fan, Cancy Clutter. I say or pre-chopping your vegetables in the morning, that's a really great option as well. Can save time and can actually, obviously because you're eating in cost as well. Another great one as well, if you're going out early in the morning for your work, let's say doing things like overnight oats. Basically with that as you soak your oats, you add in things like chia seeds, fruits and vegetables in there as well, and you put it in the fridge overnight, you get in the morning, it's a quick breakfast option as well. Obviously as well, smoothies and such like, so that's a great option. Whipping that gets you all your nutrition, obviously whipping up things like obviously your spinach, your kale, different fruits and such like, adding in some oats and maybe some vegan protein powder, whether that be pea protein, rice protein, anything like that. Your almond milk in it as well, a bit of peanut butter, so you're getting all your proteins, your fats and your carbs all in the one breakfast. It's a great quick option. Obviously as well, I would really recommend getting things like your rice cookers and your slow cookers, your pressure cookers, food processors and blenders, and obviously bread machines as well. That can make a great options, and obviously can save money as well, and obviously time as well. If you can, obviously as well, I know obviously a lot of the countries we live in, especially me in Scotland, it's not always sustainable to grow your own food because we don't get the kind of sunshine times of the year, obviously, because our summer's basically like an Australian really cold winter, if you can imagine it. We only get like 16, 17 degrees, which is pretty rubbish. Jenny says the programme I linked up to, which is called People's Pantry, is run by the Urban Seed through the local Baptist. I think it's a great idea. Amazing idea, Jenny, that really is. Like I say, growing your own food, like I say, that can be really ambitious at the start, like I say, but having a couple of things like pots of kale or tomatoes or such likes, growing them on your back porch, like I say, can go a long way to obviously cutting down on your grocery bill in the long run. And obviously, it comes on food. Jenny says, have what? What are you thinking, Jenny? I say, any kind of suggestions as well? I say, it froze a bit, did it? Really sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Nice to see you here, Tam, and us as well. Oops, I've thought about growing my own food. Yeah, I would love to grow my own food. So another thing that one of the girls in the group actually mentioned to me is she's in the Philippines, and obviously the Philippines are a really meat-eating country, and she was really worried about that. So I looked up at the kind of main places in the world that are actually the most vegan, and actually number 10 is actually Israel. It says Judaism has a long prescribed to keep meat and dairy products apart. So many observant Jews have found simpler life by going vegan, but in the Jewish country that was found to be proven a haven for the Jewish people. Some people, many of them non-religious, have taken it one step further. It says, out of the population of 8 million people, hundreds of thousands claim to be vegan, making Israel the most vegan developed country. This is reflected in thriving cafe and restaurant scene, particularly in Tel Aviv. So that's great. Yeah. My wife asking for black bags there, sorry guys. Brilliant. So like I say, things like obviously the Rastafarians are a small but obviously highly visible minority in Jamaica, and their beliefs are actually against the consumption of meat as well. Like I say, their diet basically called ITAL, it's called, from the word kind of vital, if you can imagine it. Let's say is also a natural as they can make it. Usually they have things that obviously organic and cooked without salt. I see also some Rastas obviously eat fish. I see many do not, and obviously a considerable actually number are actually vegan as well. Like I say, the result is obviously that Jamaica is obviously a flourishing vegan scene as well. You've obviously got, sorry Tommy, it's breaking up a lot. I'll I'll stop it and come back. Right, Obsidian's on my level. I'll stream again soon. I'll do the rest of it tomorrow because I've got a lot of things I actually want to touch upon. That I've got ideas for the movement, the way forward of the vegan movement. So hopefully we can do that. Speak to you all soon. Sending you all my love, and remember as always, binge on life, cause negativity, and start guilty feelings.